Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. Today I'm doing my review about Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, also known as Episode 9. This review is not spoiler free, so if you want to save this video for later, add me to your watch list and I'll see you then. First things first, I liked it more on the second watching, but still, this entire trilogy to me is not even as good as the prequels, which, just to give you an idea in my head, it goes original trilogy, prequels, and then the sequel trilogy. Let me break it down why I thought this movie had problems. First of all, there's things like Palpatine coming back. I think they could have had a similar storyline if they really needed to and not bring Palpatine back. Like, honestly, he was in his late 40s, early 50s in the prequels. And that's at the end of episode 3. So it takes about 55 to 60 years pass from that time, from episode 3 until episode 7 in The Force Awakens. So, I mean, minimum, that puts Palpatine at around 95 years, 100, which isn't outside the realm of possibility, but still, that was a fatal fall in The Return of the Jedi. Like, they easily could have had Palpatine create Snoke, or even two versions of Snoke, since he created Snoke, one possessed by Palpatine, like he created Snoke 1 to be possessed by Palpatine, and then he could have wanted to do like he wanted to do to Rey, and have another one serve as a stand-in so that Kylo wouldn't have actually killed the Snoke that was controlling things, but just his stand-in. The other thing that bothered me was how easily Rey and Kylo healed each other. Like in the prequels, that's Palpatine's biggest thing, and how he won over Anakin was by promising to give him the power over life and death. Like, I don't know if you've been watching The Mandalorian, so here's the spoiler alert. Even Baby Yoda, who's completely untrained, can force heal someone. Also, they ramped up the factor of danger by so much getting the Final Order, which is what Palps calls his fleet, have every destroyer equipped with a planet-killing power. I feel like The Last Jedi jumped the shark, and this was just completely ridiculous. Not just because Rogue One gave us background to the tech in the original Death Stars powered by the Kyber crystals, but also because Starkiller Base was powered by a sun if it drained to destroy multiple planets at once. It leaves me skeptical about how they can possibly explain the tech in the Final Order ships. Let's go back to the other bit. I did like that they brought back Han as a memory, mostly because they had to. There's only so far they could have shown CGI Leia. But it showed that the two of them, Leia's sacrifice to reach out to Ben and Kylo Ben, the effort to reach him was what killed her, actually. But with Han's memory, they were what brought Ben back and killed Kylo once and for all. So it showed the two of them reaching out to Kylo Ben, Leia's sacrifice to reach Kylo or Ben, the effort which killed her, so that was a sacrifice, and Han's memory were what brought back Ben and killed Kylo once and for all. There's another thing that's bothering me, less about Ben's redemption and about how the fandom is reacting to it. There's chatter from the Kylo Ren stans that Ben shouldn't have died, that his death was unnecessary. Well, that would not have been fitting, because even Darth Vader, when he turned back to the light, had to sacrifice himself for a Jedi that was fighting a Sith. That's why at the end of Return of the Jedi, we never saw the Force ghost dressed up as Darth Vader, but as Anakin, because he had turned back to the light side. So it makes sense that Ben gave the last of his life force to Rey, who otherwise would have died from her fight with Granddaddy Palps. I had strong feelings about the fake outs of Chewbacca and C-3PO dying. I had strong feelings about Chewbacca and C-3PO dying. Like with Chewie dying, I was very emotional and they had me going for a while, but I'm really glad Chewie wasn't actually dead and that C-3PO had his memory restored. It was enough death that Leia and Ben died. Still, it made it very hard to deal with so much loss in the movie. Like, that much loss is just draining. First the 2 fake outs and then the 2 real deaths. It gets to be a lot. Lastly, I want to bring up the fact that Rose Tico's role was taken over by Dominic Monaghan's character. I found that very annoying. After being a main character in The Last Jedi, they reduced her role to a cameo in The Rise of the Skywalker, which is one of my biggest problems with this film. Like, some people were saying J.J. Abrams didn't know what to do with her. Here's an idea. Maybe don't bring in yet another white dude to steal her lines. If you're angry about this, join me on Twitter with the hashtag Where's Rose. I have tweeted about it. Finally, my biggest problem with The Rise of Skywalker was how we finally get Force-sensitive Finn, but there's no developing of his powers. Some of you may think that came out of nowhere, but we were basically teased a Force-sensitive Finn since the trailers for The Force Awakens when we see Finn with a lightsaber. The other bit of a hint is in that movie was that Snoke literally said there was an awakening, but Rey still hadn't shown any powers, but Finn had already turned away from the massacre and had a crisis of conscience as if the light side was pulling him to do good and eventually save Poe. Like, I would have loved to see Leia training both Rey and Finn in this movie. I think it would have balanced out the struggle for Rey if she had someone to train with and not just Kylo in her head all the time. Something I suspect she didn't tell Leia about. Still, the time to reveal that was in The Last Jedi to establish Force-sensitive Finn, and of course it's obvious that Rian Johnson didn't care enough about Finn to establish that, so that in this film he could have been trained. So I'm giving this movie 3.5 stars out of 5 because it's problems. Like, I enjoyed it, and I should probably do a video to explain why I didn't like The Last Jedi 2. I hope that you'll leave some comments down below and tell me whether you agree or disagree. Please hit like and subscribe if you liked the video. Next up is a review of The Mandalorian so far. May the Force be with you.